I'm going to give a brief scan of the political environment, none of which should be a big surprise to any of you who watch what's going on or not going on in Washington. The overview of what I'm going to do is the current state of play, a look at the races, the presidential, the Senate races, the House races, and what AGC of America is doing to influence. Current state of play, Congress is dysfunctional. Easy work is hard. Best example of that is the highway bill. We're on our 9th extension. The program basically expired about a year and a half ago. Typically, the highway bill passes with over 400 votes in the House, over 80 votes in the Senate, and now they're just plugging along because basically the problem is we don't have any money. And in the old days, the adage was, if money is the problem, you don't have a problem. Now money is the problem, and we have a problem. Bipartisanship is scorned. Both sides play to the base. Your previous speaker at lunch, talked about this a little bit. Many members of Congress now are more concerned about a primary opponent than they are a general election opponent. The political, short-term tactical political advantage seems to be the objective, not solving any problems. And failure is an acceptable objective. Best example of that was the so-called super committee that was charged with trying to find a way out of the deficit mess. They met and with basically a club over their head saying, if you don't solve this, we're going to have $1.2 trillion in sequestration, just across the board budget cuts. $600 billion coming out of defense, $600 billion coming out of domestic discretionary funding over the next 10 years. And with that club over their head, they couldn't reach agreement. And then the presidential race and the issues contained therein cast a giant shadow. Presidential race, first of all, Obama should be vulnerable. He is vulnerable. So I'll show later he has anemic job approval, and that's been relatively consistent over the last few months. His legislative victories are unpopular. The health care bill, I'll show you a chart on this a little bit later. Majority of Americans still favor repeal of Obamacare. 2/3 believe the individual mandate is unconstitutional. The stimulus, only 38% of the public thought that the stimulus had any economic benefit. We continue to have an unstable economy. The administration is clueless on gas prices. We have a Secretary of Energy who famously said that he was going to pursue policies so that we would have European-like gas prices to force people out of their cars. We have sustained unacceptable unemployment rates. With today's unemployment numbers, we now have 39 consecutive months of an unemployment rate above 8%. Remember, famously, before the stimulus package was passed, the president said, unless we pass this thing, unemployment is going to reach 8%. Well, they passed it, they implemented it, and ever since then, unemployment has been above 8%. Presidential job approval. If you take a look at this graph, the red line is job disapproval, which the average of the polls is 47.9%. The black line is approval rate. The average right now is 47.8%. So basically, the country is split down the middle on the job approval for the president. But look at what he squandered. The left axis shows an approval rating at the time he was inaugurated at about 65%. That downward trend, when you see that black line on the left moving down, that is basically the health care bill has brought a lot of that disapproval rating down, as well as the anemic economy. The economy is still the number one concern. Bad news for the Democrats is this: the president's job approval right now, or I shouldn't say right now. This chart is basically looking at job approval. The president in all toss-up states and leans, his job approval was below 50%. In 6 toss-up states and 2 lean states, it was below 47%. And if you take those states, Nevada, North Carolina, Virginia, Maine, Pennsylvania, Florida, Colorado, and New Hampshire, that's a total of 100 electoral votes. Republicans need 60 of those to get to 270. So that's not really good news for the administration. Why'd Romney win? First of all, he had more money. Unlike his opponents, he had an organization in every state, which gave him ballot access. You had some of the candidates that couldn't even get on the ballot in a number of primaries. None of the anti-Romneys, as I call them, had staying power. Rick Perry raised $50 million. He had 0 delegates. And then I'm sure a lot of people were asking, can I get my money back? And then finally, Democrats fall in love and Republicans fall in line. Romney is basically demonstrating the power of primogeniture in the Republican Party. The guy who comes in second in the previous primary race ends up getting the nomination the next time. Challenges for the Republicans. The Democrats have declared that the Republicans have declared a war on women. Again, I think this is an ancillary issue that the press likes to talk about. Women are concerned about the economy the same amount as men are. But one other concern here for Republicans, and that's the declining percentage of white voters. You have, in 1992, 88% of all voters in the presidential election were white. In 2008, it was 74%. In this election, it's likely to be about 70%. 49% of the public favors free health care. I don't know what that means. I don't know what free health care means, but I do know that that half of the population, about half of the population, thinks that somebody else should be paying for health care. Romney needs to make this election a referendum on Obama. The president keeps pushing back on that, but that's basically what this election has to be for Romney to be successful. And then foreign affairs are always a presidential wild card. Chiefly demonstrated, I think, by the president's trip to Afghanistan earlier this week. The Senate. Currently you have 53 Democrats, 47 Republicans. The map will favor the Republicans in this election. And that's because you have 33 seats that are up for re-election. Democrats hold 23 of them. Republicans only are defending 10. Of those 23 that the Democrats are defending, 3 lean Democrat in Florida, Michigan, and Ohio. 1 likely Republican will go Republican. That's Nebraska with the retirement of Ben Nelson because of the Cornhusker compromise deal that he made on the health care bill. Proved to be terribly unpopular in a heavily Republican state, so he decided to hang it up and not even try. But that seat will go Republican. And then you have 7 toss-ups: Hawaii, Missouri, Montana. Montana, I just saw a poll today, Rasmussen poll, which are pretty reliable, that the Republican challenger there has a 10-point lead over the incumbent Tester. And it's primarily because of energy and the health care vote. Montana, Tester voted for the health care bill. New Mexico, another possible gain for the Republicans, North Dakota, Virginia, and Wisconsin. And then the Republicans have 3 seats that they're defending that are toss-ups. Massachusetts, Scott Brown, the guy who won famously the seat that was vacated by the death of Ted Kennedy, and running against the Harvard law professor who has got a problem right now because she claims that when she applied for the job, she checked the box that said she was Native American, and now she can't demonstrate her lineage that proves that. And then Maine, you had Olympia Snow announce her retirement. That seat's probably going to go Democratic. And Nevada, you have Dean Heller, who was appointed to the seat, trying to defend that. So that's what's going on in the Senate. In the House, I would say that Republicans are likely going to hold on to the House. Democrats need to win about 25 net seats to gain control of the House. There will be a thinning of the herd. In any wave election like you had in 2010, you got people that are elected that in any ordinary election year probably wouldn't get elected. They're basically standing on a street corner. A bus picked them up, dropped them off in Washington. A lot of those folks would be going home. A few of those folks would be going home. But nonetheless, the redistricting reapportionment will favor the Republicans. And you look at a few key states, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Wisconsin, states that are traditionally Democratic, in 2010 elected majorities in their House and their Senate and elected Republican governors. Those are the people that get to draw the maps, and they've drawn them in a way to favor incumbent Republican members of Congress. But this also shows you basically the mathematics of where the seats are. That's kind of inside baseball. I looked at where the seats in California are in play. There are 3 toss-ups. The Cook Political Report, which is a well-known publication in these circles, 3 toss-up seats, the Lundgren seat, the open Gallagher, and Gary Miller being pushed into a new district. Those are the 3 California seats that are likely to be toss-ups. Conclusions. The president is vulnerable. Unlike 2008, when he was the unknown candidate talking about hope and change, and everybody got to determine what that meant for them. Now he's a known commodity running on a record, and a record that's not popular, and also with the bad economic reports that continue. It's basically a tie race according to Gallup, Rasmussen, and Fox News polls. Romney and the Republicans have challenges. First question, can he coalesce the Republicans? Can he bring the base together? The answer to that question, I think, was answered pretty well by Haley Barbour, the former governor of Mississippi and former chair of the Republican National Committee. He was asked the question, can Romney bring all the Republican groups together and have them work for him? And he said, listen, by the time the Republicans get to the convention in Tampa in August, it'll be like conjugal visit day at the state penitentiary. Everybody will have one objective in mind. And in this case, that objective will be to defeat President Obama. The Senate is a Republican opportunity, but in a lot of those races, people aren't going to be splitting their ticket. It's going to depend upon how the president does in those states. And so there'll be a coattail effect that hopefully Romney for the Republicans will have. The House should hold for the Republicans, but the Democrats will gain. And all of this is subject to change because this election is multiple political lifetimes away. What is AGC doing? We continue to promote our national PAC. We have a chapter board contest that we would encourage all members of the California AGC board to participate in. We have also the possibility of your companies to have a check off on your payroll stubs so that your management employees can contribute to the AGC PAC. You can do $1 a week or $1 a paycheck, $2 a paycheck. I'm personally doing some fundraising for Romney. We've been working with his folks on messaging infrastructure and how they are going to address some of the infrastructure issues that we care about. The good news so far is Romney told me he is against devolution for the highway program, basically getting rid of the gas tax and giving it back to the states. So that's good news, and we continue to make inroads in the campaign. And then finally, AGC of America made a contribution to the Crossroads Super PAC. This is the Super PAC that Karl Rove and some other folks have been involved in to raise additional funds for pro-business candidates.